Okay. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Today we will have our fourth session, lesson number 4 inshallah. And yes, we will inshallah try to kind of cover all the letters today because our coming session will be about the differences between the similar sounding letters. Because in Arabic, we all know that there are letters, like right, there are like quite a different like pairing of letters which might sound like quite similar. For example, we have this letter seen and sad. So they both make the sound like sa si su, and then we have like so, si, su. So, right, they have a difference as well. And then we have letter ta and ta as well. And we say ta, ti, tu, or we say ta, ti, tu, right? So they have like little differences in them. With regards to the sound, obviously the way they are written is quite, different, obviously, but their sounds, they are kind of, similar. So we will see that how they are actually different, right? So in the next session we will do this, but for today we will inshallah try to complete the letters with their names and their sounds inshallah. Moving onwards with today's lesson, again I have marked these letters that we have covered with green line, and I have encircled those that we will cover for today inshallah. For today we might cover more than the actual number of letters that we usually do. Why is the case? Because mostly you will be inshallah familiar with the maximum letter of today, and then you will have others which I will inshallah tell you. So we are covering more than the actual lesson. Why? Again, I mentioned that inshallah we will kind of revise these in the coming session as well. So you need not to worry about that we are moving a bit fast. So let's revise the letters that we have already covered. The first one being alif here, right, which has a sound like which has a sound like a of English, right? And then we covered this hamza as well, this in on the last row, this hamza as well. Again, this has a sound like a, right? So both of these has a sound like a. And then we have like a ba letter, the second one, ba letter, which has a sound like b of English. The third one is ta, ta, right? It is a bit more soft than the T, T of English, right? The articulation is different. So we say ta. So this is alif, ba, ta. Okay, these are the names, alif, ba, ta. And I told you their sounds are different, which depends on the symbol they will have on them. For example, ba letter, if it has a fatha, so we will say ba, kasra, b, and then we say with dhamma, we say bu. But I told you about alif that alif is the letter which will not have any, symbol, short vowel symbol. It will not have any of that. Then the fourth letter that we did is tha letter, and I said that for this tip of the tongue, it touches the edges of our upper front two teeth, and we say tha, tha. Okay, the next letter is deem, deem. Okay, so let me just do these all at once. Alif, ba, ta, tha, deem. Okay, the sixth one here is ha letter, which is one of the six letters of throat. Ha, ha. I mentioned that this is a bit more airy than the H of English. Not same. Okay, ha. And then the next one here is kha, which this with the scratch. Kha. Okay, the next one here is dal letter. Dal. And again, this is not the D of English, okay? D and the. This dal makes sound of da, di, do, da, di, do. The next one here is dal, dal. Again, this makes a sound like the, the, okay. Next, we have raw letter, raw, just like R of English, raw, okay, which makes sound like raw, ri, ru. So we have ha, ha, dal, dal, ra. Okay, so next we have this letter which is z, z. Okay, so this is like, the Z of English. Z, right? Z with this buzzing sound. Z. Then we have seen, seen letter with this, whistle sound and air it just comes out of her mouth as well. We say seen, like S of English. It makes the sound like S of English when we say sa, si, su, sa, si, su. The next is sheen, sheen, which makes sh kind of sound. Sh, she, shu. Okay, so the, seen, sheen, the, seen, sheen. The next we covered is this letter and this letter, which again are, two letters of throat, being ayn and ghayn. Ayn. The first one is ayn. And the second one is ghayn with this gargle sound. Gha, gha, ghayn. Okay. And coming towards the last row, we covered this ha letter. Ha. I mentioned that this is just like the H of English, H, right? This ha, the one we just discussed in the second row, at the start of the second row, that was a different one, which was ha. And this one is ha. Ha. A bit more heavy kind of, right? A heavy sound you can hear. Ha. And then, Hamza, and then the last two, which are the same ones, this is ya. Yeah, like the Y of English, right? So we have, kind of revised all of these letters for now. And now, inshallah, we will move on to the encircled ones, inshallah. So from these encircled ones, we have first letter. Let's move on. Sod. Sod. Okay, just let me write this as well. So how we will write this is like this. Okay, like this. We will move our pen in the direction of the arrows that you see and their numbering as well. Slod, and then we have this letter, Lod. The first one is Slod. Slod. The second one for today will be Lod. Lo. Lod. Okay. The third one for today will be To. Like this. To. Okay, so sod, bod, and then to, to. Okay, the fourth one for today will be vo, vo. Okay, sod, bod, to, vo, and fifth one will be fa letter. Okay, fa letter. Fa letter is very easy, just fa, this, you are already actually familiar with this sound, at least for now. Fa, fa, kind of, the tip of your upper teeth, it touches it touches your lower lips and air is removed as a result as well, right? So we say fa, fa. Okay, let's move on to the next, pairing. This is here, qaf, qaf. A heavy sound. Qaf, right? The fa letter was like this, a bit more straight, but qaf here is a bit more round and, which has this shape. Then we have kaf, kaf, kaf. You might see this written like this as well. Okay, with this kind of line as well. Sometimes you will find it written like this with this symbol in the middle, and sometimes you will see this, line on top of it at one side. The next one is lam, lam. The next one being meme, meme. Okay, so qaf, kaf, lam, meme. And then we have noon, noon. Okay, noon with the dot in the middle, noon. And last one for today is, I think I just forgot to mention on the slide, which will be wow alphabet. Okay, we write it like this, wow, like this. This is how we move like it. Okay, okay, so this is wow, wow. Okay, so these will be the letters, inshallah. Let's move on to the next thing that we like always discuss is that we kind of compare the sounds with the English alphabets, right? In this step. So what we will do is that let's see if our first letter for today does it have any alternative in English or not. So the swad letter, swad. So this sound, there isn't any alternative letter in English, but we are already familiar with the sound of it in some words of English. Okay, we will inshallah see the example of those words as well. So this is for, sword, right? So the way we start it is different. This is not this S sound of English, okay? Not the S sound. As sa, which makes sa sound. This is rather slow, slow, a heavy sound. So this is not, this is not present in English alphabets. The second one is lord, lord, right? Again, this is not there in English. Okay, this will be again new. So whenever there is a new letter for you, you are, conscious. You're supposed to just attentively listen to that sound. Okay, because they might be new for you, so you need to pay more attention to those. So the second one was lord, law, right? Law. It makes sound like law, li, or lu. Okay. The third one is thaw, thaw. Again, not there in English. The next one will be law, law. This is again not in English. Okay, so this is in English fa letter, which is like F of English. Fa, fa. Okay, let's move on. This is qaf, qaf. Again, not there in English. Okay, qaf. Okay, the next one is kaf, kaf. This is there in English, and this is just like, K of English. Ka, ka, ki, ku. Kaf. The name is kaf. The sound it might make is ka, ki, ku. Okay, so the next one is lam, lam. This is again in English, like L of English, lam. Then we have noon, noon, which is again in English, like N of English. Okay, kaf, lam, noon, like K, L, N of English. Then we have meme, meme, which is like M of English, meme. Then we have last one, which is wow, wow, which is like W of English. So for now, you can see that, a lot of the sounds for today are very easy, right? What do I mean by sound is that the K letter sound, L, N, M, and W, they are very easy sounds when we make them. The only problem that you might face is, how you will identify their shapes, right? So that is what I would just expect, that you will kind of, try to practice these as much as you can, by writing these, or again, inshallah, with time you can, memorize these as well. But I would just say that at the beginning, which stage you are, for now, what you can do, you can just write them, and you can just, hear them again and again. So the sounds are easy of half of the letters today, but you will obviously have to remember their shapes with their sounds in mind. So let's see that, the first four alphabets were new for you. And we have like fa letter, which has a F sound. And then on the second slide, you have only off letter, which will be new for you with regards to the sound. But, with regards to the shape, they are all new for you. So let's move on, with a bit more explanation about their sounds. Okay, so the first letter for today is sod letter. right? The saw the alphabet. So about this alphabet, what I will just tell you is that, okay, let me just take my pen. Okay, so about this alphabet, this the sound of this is like swa, flee, flu, swa, flee, flu, and the name is swad. In the transliteration that I have written here for the name of this letter, at the start, you see that I have written S, right? S. But again, I have, encircled it and marked a little cross on top of it because, that is not exactly the way we are supposed to start making the sound of this letter, right? We are not supposed to start like sa, sa, right? We are supposed to kind of fill our mouth with air a bit more and make a heavy start from the very start. We say fo, fo, rather than saying sa, Sa. Okay, so this letter, the first letter of today is different than a letter that we have already covered in the previous lesson, which was seen letter that you see written on top here as well, right? I have written here, this scene. We covered this already. I mentioned that this scene is like S of English, right? But this sword for today is not like the S. This is kind of a heavy version of scene. So with regards to the Arabic, whenever somebody tells you that this letter is a heavy letter, so the first thing that should come in your mind is that to make any letter heavy, what do? We raise the back part of our tongue, right? The end part, the back part of our tongue, we raise that towards the palate, and that is how our mouth gets filled with air, and as a result, we hear a heavy sound. We say swah, Whoa. So for making this heavy, I am not, shaping my lips round. I'm not making an O shape form of my lips, right? We are not supposed to do that. That will be, the incorrect articulation then. Our lips should be, in kind of a natural state, the way they are, right? And then we do much working in our mouth, right? With our tongue. So that comes with practice. But for now, as you're all beginners, what I would just suggest is that you can, for now, try to differentiate the seen alphabet that you see on top with the sword letter that we are doing for today, right? So the seen letter was a light letter that made a sound like sa, si, su, right? Sa, si, su. But this sod, which is this one, it will make a sound like fo, fo, fli, fu, fo, fli, fu, right? So the first one was sa, si, su that we have already covered. That was very simple, very natural. This one is a bit heavy, so we, put some effort to make it heavy and say fo, fli, fu. The name is sword, right? The way I'm starting the sound of it is heavy. Sword, sword. Okay, so how this sound is there in English is you see the example of the two words written here, which is this one, muscular, muscular. So when we make this S sound here, right, just listen to the S sound, muscular. So this is a heavy sound. So this is the way we will start the sound of this letter, so muscular. This is not muscular, right? Mus. For this mus, the air is not, just removed from our mouth, but rather we just have some of it in our mouth as well, right? So we say muscular. And then we have this saw. I saw this, saw. So we don't say I saw this, saw, right? So we just make a heavy saw sound. So we will just do something like that. And we have example of this word here, sausage, saw, right? The starting sound of saw. So this is, a bit similar sound of sod. So what you will do is that for the first letter of today, which is sod, you will try to raise the back part of your tongue as much as you can, also the middle part as well, right? Like more than half of your tongue from the back will be raised towards the palate to make a heavy sound. Okay, so is the first letter clear for now? Is there any sister who would like to, just say the sound or just anything that you would like to say? Sisters, your response, is appreciated. Why? Because, I will get to know that is this easy or is this difficult, or you got my point or not, or I need to tell you more. Or let's move on to the next sound for today. That can be a, very new sound for you, right? So the second letter for today is bod. Bod. Again, I have marked the first four alphabets with these, brackets, right? These four alphabets of today, they are the heavy letters, you can say the heaviest ones. Why? Because for these four letters, I mentioned that whenever in Arabic we say that this letter is a heavy letter, so the first thing, again, you need to have in your mind is that your back part of the tongue will be raised towards the palate. So the four letters, you will do this same thing in these first four alphabets because they are all heavy. Okay, so another thing, interesting thing about these four letters is that not only the end part of your tongue is raised, but also the middle part is raised as well, right? So it's only the first, like the front part of your tongue, right? If we just divide the tongue into three parts, right? Like the first part, then the second part, and the third part, just the way we did with the throat, right? So for these four letters, only the, the starting portion will be, below, right? Will be in the resting position, but the second portion, like the middle one and the end part of your tongue, both will be raised towards the palate. And that is how you will kind of trap the air in your mouth and they will make a heavy sound. For the light letters, what happens is that all of the, airs when articulating the letter just comes out of your mouth. It is just released, you can say. So there is nothing filled in your mouth. And that is why the light letters are, empty mouth letters as well. They are called empty mouth letters. But the heavy letters are also called full mouth letters, right? Full mouth letters. So yes, the second alphabet for today is Bod, and I mentioned this is a heavy. So what happens is that I have, written on top here that we have covered a dal letter, right? Dal letter already. So dal letter, it made a sound like da, di, do, right? The letter with the, do sound. And I mentioned that this has a similar, sound than the way we say the in English, the, right? So the dal was very, easy with regards to this sound. But for dad letter, when the, people who are doing these words for the first time, letters for the first time, they kind of confuse the dal sound with this dad letter of today. Why do they do this? Because they think that they might sound similar. Let me just say the letter first. So that is the, do, but the bod letter of today, it makes a sound like bo, li, do. The dal makes the, do, light letter. The letter for today is bod, which makes sound like bo, li, do. So what happens, sister, is that both of these letters, they are, like kind of very different in with regards to their articulation even, right? So the dal letter, we just place, the tip of the tongue at the back of our upper teeth, right? Tip of the tongue, it touches the back part of our upper front two teeth. Or you can say like the roots of behind the upper teeth area. Okay, so that is how we say dal. But for dad, just kind of listen attentively that the articulation of dad is that we take the sides of our back part of the tongue, right? Just imagine the back part I already mentioned. Let me just draw this again in a different way. This is your tongue in your mouth, right? Okay, so these are the sides of your back part of your tongue, right? Okay, what you will do is that, sisters, for this second letter for today, you can either take one side of your back side of the tongue, right? You can either take this side or take this side, or sometimes people find it convenient, they use the both sides. And what do we do is that we raise those towards the our upper molar wisdom teeth, and we touch those as well, right? So we take the sides of the back part of our tongue, or we can take any side of the back part of the tongue as well, and we touch that to upper molar wisdom teeth, our, right? So you just imagine this process and just take the end part of your tongue, okay? Just touch that with the upper wisdom teeth and say law, law. So what happens? You are not supposed to worry about the front part. right? You're not supposed to say, okay, so where does the front part of the tongue go, right? The focus is there on the articulation, which is with the back part of the tongue mainly, right? So people just use the front part of the tongue in a different way, in different ways. They just, and that is how we have, variations of sounds in this letter as well. Some people articulate it in a different way. They say Allah, or some say Allah, right? So you are not supposed to worry about that. It does not make any much difference. The problem comes when you will not be using the last part of your tongue, right? When you will not be using the sides of the back part of your tongue. So we will say law, bod, bod. The tip of the tongue is, simply there, where the dal, where the tip of the tongue touches when we say dal letter, right? Which is like the behind our upper front two teeth. So I hope you are able to understand the articulation point. The problem will come, a little problem will come, and you will try to kind of practice saying dod as well. This is kind of a little tricky for the people who are beginners, but inshallah, this is not at all difficult. So let me just say this word with example here. The example in Arabic is this one: ضرب, ضرب. So I'm not saying da ra ba. This is not dal, okay? So for now, again, what you can do is that you can try to differentiate this dad with the dal that we have already covered. The dal was a light one. We say da, the, do. For dal, the back part of the tongue is not doing anything at all. It is just, in normal state. Da, the, do. But for dad, you are making your mouth full, and you are, saying da, di, do, and we say daraba, da. If I will, say daraba, daraba, that will be wrong. I'm saying daraba, daraba. Okay, so the next example that I would like to give is from the Al-Fatiha Surah. We are all familiar with the surah in when we say this in Salah, right? So in Salah, when we say this Al-Fatiha, at the end we say وَلَضَّالِّينَ, right? This word comes at the end. So in this word, we have again the dot letter, and which makes a sound like الض ض الضالين. We do not say الدا da. We say ض, right? So the dal sound is da, di, do, and dot sound is ض, di, do. Okay. Is this clear, sisters? Any query? Any difficulty? The next letter for today is again a heavy letter, which is ta letter. Ta. So again, sisters, we have already covered letter ta. Ta letter. Ta. Tip of the tongue again touches the back part of your upper frontal teeth. We say ta. Ta. But the letter for today is a heavy version of that ta. What do we do again? We raise the back part of our tongue, and also, the middle part as well. When we say ta, the first that we have already covered is ta letter. Ta, ti, tu. Ta, ti, tu. The letter for today is ta, ti, tu. Ta, ti, tu. Okay, this is a heavy letter. To differentiate their sounds, again, the first one is, empty mouth. The second is a heavy mouth. For second, the tip of the tongue actually touches the back part of your upper teeth with strength as well. If you will not touch the tip of the tongue behind the upper teeth with strength, there is a possibility that it will turn out to be the ta letter, which is a light one. Okay, so the 2 points that you need to have in mind for ta letter is that, first of all, tip of the tongue touches the back part of your upper teeth with strength. The first point. And the second point is that you raise the back part of your tongue, or you can say middle as well as the back part. Both are raised towards the palate, and you say heavy sound of ta. The first that we have covered is ta, ta, ti, tu. This is ta, ti, tu. Tatitu, totitu. Okay, the example is this word here, batara, batara. I am not saying bata, bata, ta. The ta should not be a light sound here. I'm saying bata. بطارة بطارة. The next example is of this word, which is طعام طا, which starts with this sound طعام. We cannot say ta'amu ta'amu. The ta should not be light at the start here. Okay, this should be a heavy and with strength, right? With strength sound. So طعام طا. And the third example for this is wasatun. The sound here today is at the end. Wasatun. Wasatun. This is again not wasatan. Tan. The ta should not be here. This is tun. Ta. Ta. Tun. A heavy sound. Right? So this is ta. And this is ta. A heavy one. Okay, so I hope this is again clear, sisters. Inshallah, let's move on to the fourth letter of today. Then we will have easy ones remaining, inshallah. So the fourth letter for today is this, sisters, which is similar looking to the ta letter, but sound is again very very different. So for this letter, what I would like to say is again, what I would like to just give is again a reference from the letters that we have already covered, which was Dal alphabet. Dal. For that, I mentioned that you take the tip of your tongue and touch that with the edges of your upper front two teeth, and you make this soft kind of sound, which is Dal. Dal. Which makes sound like the, the, thu, the, thu. Okay, so for today we have law, law, li, lu. What happens is that this is a kind of a heavy version of this dal. For dal, the way we touch the tip of our tongue to the edges of our upper front two teeth, we will do the same thing in, law as well. Law, law, li, lu, the, thu, law, li, lu. Right? So the process is same, but one is light and the second one is a heavy one. This is the only difference. The first is empty mouth, the second is full mouth. Full mouth, I mean that we raise the back part of our tongue. And also, the middle part as well as the back part of the tongue is raised. So, the, thu, and for today we are doing lo, li, lu. You need to remember that both of these sounds are not like the Z of English, right? The articulation of that Z letter is different. We have already covered the Z letter for that, right? This is the sound of the letter, which is like the Z of English. But the sounds that we are, just doing today, they are not the Z of English. Okay, they are more soft without that buzzing sound in these. Okay, so this is law, law. Let's see the example here as well, which is ظهر. Okay, let me just encircle this as well. Okay, so example is ظهر, ظهر. This is not ظهر. For the at the start, we will not make the light sound of the letter. Rather, we will try to make it a heavy and say ظ, ظهر, ظهر. The second example is أظلم, أظ, أظ, أظلم, أظ. And the third example for today is ظن, ظن. Okay, so the first one was ظهر. The second one is أظلم. And the third one is ظن. Okay, so the first letter for today was صاد. The second one was ضاد. The third one طا. The fourth one ظا. And the fifth one is inshallah very easy. I mentioned that this is like the F of English. Fa letter. Fa. Just the way we say fire. Fa. Fire. The example is of fa'an, fa'amma, fa. It starts with the sound of fa. Fa'amma. Or when we say this word fasada. fasada, right? So the next one here is afrig, af, afrig. You are, intentionally supposed to just remove air from your mouth as well, because that is the quality of this letter as well, right? We say intentionally, af, afrig, af. Okay, let's move on to the next part, which is, this letter in this slide is new with regards to sound, and all others will be inshallah easy. Okay, so let's discuss the articulation of this letter. This is qaf, 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 and this letter here is kaf, kaf. So the first letter is again, sisters, a heavy letter, qa, qa, which makes sound like qaqiqu, like qa, qi, qu, and this makes sound like ka, ki, ku. So the difference is in articulation point, a little difference. Okay, they are, you can say their articulation points are very close. For the first one, what happens is that the back part of our tongue, it touches our soft palate. Okay, for the first one here, the back part of our tongue, it touches the soft palate with strength, you can say. And for the second one, the back part of our tongue, it touches the soft as well as, kind of the area of our hard palate as well. It's like in the middle area, soft as well as the hard palate. So we make this, kind of clear sound of ka, ka, ka. But this sound is a more like a more, a deep sound, or you can say something like that. You can hear the difference. The first one is qa, qa. We are touching the back part of our tongue to the soft palate with strength, and that is how we just get this voice of qa, 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 qi, qu. And for the second, we say just ka, ki, ku, which is very simple, just like the K of English. This sound is very simple, ka, ki, ku. For the first one, you are supposed to intentionally put some effort and say qa, qa, qi, qu. Okay, so, okay, my slides are gone. Let me just get these back. Okay, so qaqiqu, and let's, see the example, which is qatala, qa, qatala. We cannot say katala. We cannot use K here. We say qa, qatala. The second example is aqbala, aq, the qa sound here, qaf sound here, aq, aqbala. And the third one here is qala, qala. Okay, qaf. I'm sorry. Qaf. And the second one is kaf. Like we say kite in English, the example can be of kunta, kunta. The second one here is karama, karama. Again, we have kaf letter here, karama. The third example is of akbara, akbara, right? The light sound, akbara. Okay, so the first one was qaf. The second one is kaf, light, kaf. The first one is heavy mouth, is like full mouth. The second one is light, it is empty mouth. So the next letter for today will be lam letter. This has, similar sound to the L of English, lam, lam. Then we have noon, noon. Then we have meme, meme. And the last one will be wow. I've, mentioned all of their sounds. They are similar to W. This is similar to M. This is like N, and this is like L of English. Okay, so this lam letter, just like we say lamp in English, right? Lamp. Let's see the example here, which is alayhim, alay, la sound here. Ala, alayhim, alayhim. Or we say kulli, li sound here, la, li, lu, right? All of the sounds we have la, li, lu. So in the first one we have la sound, ala. عليهم. In the second one we have li sound. Kulli, li. Okay, so let's see the next letter for today, which is this noon letter, right? With the dot in the middle. We have like only two alphabets in Arabic which has a dot in the middle. The first one was Jim that we have already did, right? Just like J of English. Now we have Noon which has a dot in the middle. So we say Noon when we say like nice, right? Nice. Or when we say Na'am, Na'am, which means yes in English. Yes in Arabic, sorry. Na'am. Or when we say do ni sound here. Na, ni, nu, right? And the last example is faman. We have n sound at the end here. Faman. Naam, duni, faman. Okay. The next letter is meme letter, sisters. We write this like, it like this as well. Okay, like this. Meme. Just like we say mind, m sound, ma, mi, mu, right? Ma, mi, mu. When we say this word ma, or when we say Maryam, Maryam. Okay, so the last letter for today will be wow. Wow. What happens, sister, for this alphabet is that, the sound of this is very simple, very easy. And we mentioned that this has sound like W of English. Wa. Right? When we say, for example, wet or any other word you can have in mind, or wind. So we say this sound. But in Arabic, what I would just like you to remember for this letter is that you are intentionally supposed to make your lips round, right? So when you say this letter, when you start saying this letter with W and you end this sound at W again. So at both of position, when you're starting and when you're ending the sound of it, your lips should be in round shape. Wow, wow. You should not be saying wow. The sound should not be of the V alphabet, okay? It should not be wow, wow, okay? Or you should not be saying wow, starting with V and ending on O. Okay, this is just like a very detailed thing, but at the start, even you can just ignore this if you like. But I'm just telling you so that your articulation is very good from the very start. You are not supposed to say it like this. Okay, like va starting with V or ending at wow. Okay, sorry, like this. You should be making your lips round and say wa, wow, wow. Your lips will be round when you start saying it, and when you just end the sound, again they will be round. And in the middle, you will make a sound. Wow, wow. That is how you make the correct articulation of this alphabet. Otherwise, in simple terms, we just say that this is just like the W of English. When we say walau, walau, right? The sound wa at the start and at the end as well. Walau. Or when we say this word qaw, qawmin in the middle here. Qawmin. Okay, so this is it for today, sisters. Let me just repeat all of the sound one more time. And if you have any query, you can ask me after this. So the first letter for today is Sod. Sod, which makes sound like so, si, su, so, si, su. Okay, so the next letter is bod. Bod. That makes sound like bo, li, lu, bo, li, lu. Okay, so the next alphabet is to. To. The sound is like to, ti, tu, to, ti, tu. Okay, the fourth one for today was law. Law. The sound is like law, li, lu, law, li, lu. Okay, the fifth one is fa letter. Fa. We say like fa, fi, fu, fa, fi, fu. Okay. Moving onwards, we have letter qaf, which is heavy. Qaf. The sound is like qaqiqu, qaqiqu, right? The next will be a light kaf. Kaf, kaf. We say kakiku, kakiku. The third on this slide is lam, lam, which makes sound like la, li, lu, la, li, lu. The next one with a dot in the middle is noon, noon. Okay, so we say it like na, ni, nu, na, ni, nu. Okay, so interesting thing is that, sisters, when we are, I have again mentioned that when we say the letters which are light, just like you see kaf, lam, noon, meme, wow, they're all light letters. And for that, I say that all of the air is, just, it just comes out of your mouth when you articulate these. So nothing is just in your mouth, right? So what happens is that sometimes sister makes this mistake that they kind of start making a nasal sound in these letters. For example, when saying noon, they may say noon, noon, rather than saying noon, noon. Right? I'm kind of, this sound, I'm just, it just comes out of your mouth rather than staying inside. If you will make the sound stay in your mouth or in your nose, that will make it, kind of a very nasal sound, right? So we are not supposed to make that nasal kind of sound, but rather we just push the air as well as the sound out of our mouth, if you can just imagine this process in your mind. So I'm just saying noon, all of the sound, it just comes out of my mouth, right? No, rather than saying noon, noon. This sound is a bit more nasal, right? We should not just keep this in our nose or in our mouth. We just make it come outside. Noon. And then we have meme. Again, we are not supposed to say me, right? This is a nasal sound. We are not supposed to make this nasal sound. Rather, we say me, meme. We are using our lips, right? And the sound is just coming out of our, it is just, we are just pushing it out of our mouth. We say meme rather than meme, meme. We say meme. Okay, so I'm just mentioning this for the sake of mentioning, you can say, but otherwise you are supposed to remember the shapes with their names and their sounds, like the basic sounds for now. The last one for today was wow, wow. Okay, wow, and which is like the W of English. We say wa, we, woo, wa, we, woo. Okay, so that is it for today, sisters. If you have any query, you can ask me, and then we can, inshallah, end this session.